In the quiet of a late evening, when the world slows and the mind begins to wander, there's a gentle invitation to pause. Imagine a weary traveler, burdened by the weight of a life tightly held, standing at the edge of a still lake. The water reflects the stars, each one a whisper of possibility, yet the traveler clings to the heavy load of control, afraid to let it slip. This is where our journey begins, not with grand gestures, but with the soft courage to release what binds us. Long ago, a wise monk named Ananda sat beneath a banyan tree, listening to the murmurs of a village caught in endless striving. The villagers toiled to shape their futures, clutching plans like fragile glass, only to watch them shatter when life turned unexpected. Ananda, with eyes kind and knowing, spoke of a river that flows without forcing its path. It carves through stone, not by grasping, but by yielding to the earth's curves. So too, he said, must we learn to loosen our grip to find peace. In our modern world, we chase control like a shadow over work, over love, over time itself. Yet the tighter we hold, the more we ache. The first step to healing is to see this truth. Control is an illusion, a fleeting dream that slips through our fingers. Consider Sarah, a young woman who planned every detail of her career, her days mapped with precision. When a sudden loss of her job came, her world unraveled. She fought to reclaim what was until one evening, sitting quietly with a cup of tea, she felt the weight of her resistance. In that stillness, she began to let go, not of ambition, but of the need to dictate every outcome. Like the river, she learned to flow. A proverb whispers, "The mind is like water. When it's calm, everything becomes clear." To heal, we start by noticing where we cling, perhaps to a grudge, a plan, or a fear of what's next. Sit with it, not to force it away, but to let it soften in the light of awareness. This is the Buddhist way. Not to fight the current, but to move with it. Try this tonight. Breathe deeply. Name one thing you're holding too tightly, and imagine it resting lightly in your open hands. Now picture a garden at dawn, where dew clings softly to each leaf, and the air hums with quiet possibility. In this tender space we find another truth. Letting go is not about abandoning care, but about trusting life's rhythm. There was once a merchant named Kavi, who lived in a bustling town long ago. He hoarded not just gold, but worries about his trade, his family, his place in the world. Each night, he lay awake, mapping out tomorrow's every step. One day, he met a wandering monk who carried nothing but a bowl and a smile. The monk said, "To hold everything is to lose what matters most." Kavi, puzzled, followed the monk to a quiet stream where he was asked to hold water in his hands. The more Kavi tightened his grip, the faster the water slipped away. "Hold gently," the monk whispered, "and you'll carry more." In our lives, we often grip our relationships too tightly, like parents hovering over a child's every choice or friends demanding loyalty that feels like chains. Take Emily, a mother who planned her daughter's future with fierce love, only to find distance growing between them. One evening, watching her daughter laugh freely in the park, Emily realized her love could be a guide, not a cage. She began to listen, to trust, and their bond softened into something deeper. The Buddhist teaching of non-attachment doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we love without clutching, trusting others to find their own path. As an old saying goes, a bird does not sing because it has an answer, but because it has a song. Tonight, reflect on someone you hold dear. Notice where you might be holding too tightly, and try offering them space to sing their own song. Imagine your care as a gentle breeze, not a locked door. This is the second step to healing, to love with open hands. As the garden fades into the soft glow of morning, let's wander to a mountain path where a lone traveler pauses, gazing at the vast sky. Here, we touch another layer of release, letting go of the stories we tell ourselves about who we must be. Long ago, a young monk named Tenzin sat in meditation, wrestling with doubts about his worth. He believed he needed to be perfect, flawless in discipline, wisdom, and grace. His teacher, seeing his struggle, pointed to a crooked tree on the hillside. "That tree," she said, "grows strong not because it's straight, but because it bends with the wind." Tenzin began to see that his need to control his image was a weight he could set down. In our world, we often carry heavy stories about success, appearance, or what we should be. Consider James, a man who tied his worth to his role as a provider. When illness took his strength, he felt like a failure until he shared his fears with a friend over coffee. In that quiet moment, he realized his value wasn't in what he did, but in who he was: kind, present, human. The Buddhist principle of anatta, or no self, reminds us that we are not fixed identities to be controlled, but ever-changing beings, like clouds shifting in the sky. A saying murmurs, "The oak fought the wind and broke, but the willow bent and survived." To heal, we can release the rigid tailies we've woven about ourselves. Tonight, ask, what story about yourself feels heavy? Write it down, then imagine it dissolving like mist, leaving space for who you are now. This is the third step, to let go of the self we think we must be and embrace the self that simply is. Now, let's step into a quiet village square where the flicker of lanterns casts a warm glow on cobblestones worn smooth by time. Here, we learn to release the need to control time itself, that relentless river we try to dam. There was once a woman named Lila who lived in a small hamlet, always racing against the hours. She mourned the past and fretted over the future, her heart caught in a net of what was and what might be. One evening, a wandering teacher sat with her beneath the stars and said, "The moment you hold is the only one that's real." He taught her to breathe with the present, to feel the ground beneath her feet, to hear the soft rustle of leaves. Lila began to see that chasing time only stole her peace. In our lives, we often grip the clock, tightly rushing through days, regretting yesterday or anxious for tomorrow. Think of David, a father who felt time slipping away as his children grew. He planned every moment to be perfect, yet missed their laughter in his hurry. One afternoon he sat with them in the grass, doing nothing but watching clouds drift. In that pause he found joy he'd been chasing. The Buddhist practice of mindfulness teaches us to dwell in the now, where healing lives. As an old proverb says, the present is a gift. That's why it's called so. To heal, we let go of time's leash, savoring one breath, one moment. Tonight, try this. Sit quietly, notice the air on your skin, the rhythm of your heart. Let the past and future fade and rest in what is. This is the fourth step, to release the illusion of controlling time and embrace the eternal now. From the village square, let's drift to a serene forest glade, where sunlight filters through ancient trees, dappling the earth with golden light. Here we explore the art of letting go of the need to control others' perceptions of us. Long ago, a young scholar named Arjun lived in a bustling city, consumed by how others saw him. He tailored his words, his actions, even his dreams to win approval, yet felt empty. One day he met an old hermit who lived simply in the woods. The hermit, with a gentle laugh, said, "The mirror of others' eyes distorts your truth." He invited Arjun to sit by a clear pool and look at his reflection, not to judge, but to see himself as he was. Arjun began to release the weight of others' opinions, finding freedom in his own heart. In our world, we often twist ourselves to fit expectations at work, in friendships, on endless screens. Take Sophie, who spent years curating a perfect image online, only to feel unseen. One quiet night, she shared a raw, honest moment with a friend, unpolished and real. The warmth of that connection showed her the power of authenticity. The Buddhist teaching of right speech reminds us to speak and live from truth, not from the need to please. A proverb hums, "The flower doesn't dream of the bee. It blooms and the bee comes." To heal, we let go of shaping how others see us and trust our own light. Tonight, reflect. Where do you seek approval? Try one small act of truth, perhaps a kind word, unfiltered. This is the fifth step, to release the need for others' validation and bloom as you are. As we leave the forest glade, let's wander to the edge of a quiet cliff, where the wind carries the scent of the sea and the horizon stretches endlessly. Here, we face the courage to let go of the need to control our fears. Long ago, a fisherman named Rishi lived by the ocean, his heart heavy with dread of storms that could sweep away his boat, his livelihood, his life. Each night he lay awake, plotting ways to outsmart the sea. One day an elder monk sat with him on the shore and said, "Fear is a wave. You cannot stop it, but you can learn to ride it." The monk taught Rishi to breathe with the rhythm of the tides, to face fear not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Rishi began to sail with trust, not in controlling the sea, but in his own resilience. In our lives, fear often grips us, fear of failure, loss, or the unknown. Consider Maya, who avoided new opportunities, terrified of making mistakes. One evening, she sat quietly, feeling her fear instead of fighting it. She asked herself, "What if I step forward anyway?" That small act of courage opened doors she'd never imagined. The Buddhist practice of equanimity teaches us to meet fear with a steady heart, neither clinging to it nor pushing it away. A proverb whispers the shadow moves before the light, but the light always remains. To heal, we release the need to control fear and instead befriend it with gentle curiosity. Tonight, name one fear that holds you. Sit with it, breathe, and ask, what might it teach you? This is the sixth step, to let go of fear's reins and trust your inner strength. From the cliff's edge, let's drift to a humble temple nestled in a valley, where the air is soft with incense and the murmur of a distant bell. Here we learn to release the need to control the outcomes of our efforts. Long ago, a potter named Hannah worked tirelessly at her wheel, shaping clay into vessels she hoped would be perfect. When a crack appeared in her finest piece, she despaired, feeling her labor was wasted. A visiting monk, seeing her sorrow, took the cracked pot and filled it with wildflowers. "Every effort blooms in its own way," he said. Hannah saw that her work's beauty lay not in flawless results, but in the love she poured into it. In our lives, we often tie our worth to outcomes, promotions, achievements, or recognition, striving to force success. Think of Liam, who poured years into a project, only to see it falter. He felt defeated until a colleague shared how his ideas had quietly inspired others. In letting go of the need for a perfect result, Liam found peace in the ripples of his work. The Buddhist teaching of right effort reminds us to act with intention, then release attachment to the fruit of our actions. A proverb hums, "Plant the seed, but do not cling to the flower." To heal, we let go of dictating outcomes and trust the value of our sincere efforts. Tonight, reflect on a goal you're chasing. Ask, can you find joy in the doing regardless of the result? This is the seventh step, to release the need to control success and embrace the beauty of the journey. As we leave the temple's gentle hush, let's rest by a quiet meadow where fireflies dance under a starlit sky, weaving light through the darkness. Here, we embrace the final step, letting go of the need to control life's mysteries, trusting the unfolding of the unknown. Long ago, a traveler named Mira wandered through distant lands, seeking answers to life's great questions: why suffering exists, what lies beyond. Her heart grew heavy with the need to know. One night, she met an old sage by a fire who smiled and said, "The stars do not ask why they shine. They simply do." He invited her to sit, to listen to the night's quiet song, and feel the vastness without needing to grasp it. Mira learned to rest in life's mystery, finding peace in not knowing. In our world, we often wrestle with the unknown about health, love, or what tomorrow holds. Consider Anna, who faced an uncertain future after a diagnosis. She planned and worried until one evening she watched fireflies with her family, feeling their fleeting glow. In that moment, she let go of needing answers and found joy in the present. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence reminds us that all things shift, and healing comes in trusting life's flow. A proverb murmurs, "The river knows its way, even in the dark." To heal, we release the need to solve life's mysteries and embrace the beauty of uncertainty. Tonight, sit quietly, watch the stars or a candle's flame, and let one question you carry soften. Trust that the path unfolds step by step. This is the eighth step, to let go of life's unknowns and dance with the mystery.